Yep, I'm pretty confident when I say that after people try out the new nesting system, they won't want to go back to 1.1 or even legacy. They're going to love this new system.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special nesting video where I will be covering all of the new changes and adjustments that have come to the nesting in update 1.2. And I have been joined by Super Rhino himself, Jo, who is going to be teaching me how to get this nest working and how to get all the stats going and everything. We've got little
Hello.
Goosey here.
Yeah, we got a lot of new information for the nesting community. There's been a lot of changes. We brought back the legacy era nesting system, so there's going to be a lot more A++, A+ stats, and they're going to be a lot easier to get. One of the big complaints with update 1.1's current nesting system is how a lot of nesters don't use dominant, like it actually hurts them instead of helps them. We fixed that, so dominant is now going to be something you definitely want if you're a dedicated nester.
And just showing people that don't know, dominant is one of the mutations that you can gain for stat. If you put everything into nesting, your fourth one can go into dominant. This increases quite a few different percentages, mostly sort of bite force and critical protection and that, but it also increases your passing of genetics onto eggs, increases your chance to pass dominant skins to egg, increases radius that a nest is protected by a parent by 10 meters, greatly increases the gene up stat crit chance, and grants the ability to see recessive genes. Other thing that has changed that's going to be helping boost people as soon as they have started the game is you've upped the born stats, haven't you?
Yeah, so that was a big complaint, is like how uneven and unbalanced spawn stats were, and a lot of people would just continuously keep respawning themselves to try to get an A or a B or some better stats. And so with the help of the NDA testers, we came up with a solution, and that is guarantee a certain quality of those random stats. So like you're guaranteed 1A for sure. You're guaranteed 2B stats. You're guaranteed 3C stats. You're guaranteed 4D stats. And then there's going to be guaranteed 5E stats and then 3 random stats. One of them is weighted pretty high. One of those is weighted on the lower half. So I think that is going to really help people get started nesting quicker.
I think so too. It also will hopefully stop people from kill spawn their hatchling. Now, the main thing that's been brought over from the legacy nesting is the upstat.
Yeah, so upstatting, people loved it in Legacy. I always wanted to bring in recessive traits. I had it in my mind even back during Legacy. I was like, I want to bring in recessive traits. I want to change skin crafting. And I brought those in Update 1.0. Problem was skin crafting wasn't in yet. There's a lot of stuff that needed to be in for that 1.0 nesting system to really be enjoyable. And it took a lot longer for us to get those things in. But ultimately, people said it's just too complicated. And so I said, okay, let's go back to the drawing board, talk to the NDA testers. There was a lot of discussion, some heated discussion. People are very passionate about nesting, and introduced a solution that over 80% of NDA testers were very happy about. And the new system allows you to get those A's, A+, A++ again, and a lot easier. So pretty much the only thing that's holdover from 1.1 is bloodline quality. Everything else is a lot better. Like for instance, there's no more down critting. So if you do get A+, you don't down crit recessive is down to B+ anymore. So that's something that was community feedback influenced. I made dominant a lot more powerful, and so I fixed that. Now you want dominant, and even like in the new nesting UI, it will show you if you or the other nester is dominant or not. And dominant does a lot of things. Not only does it allow you to get those A+ and A++ stats, but it also allows you to see recessive genes, and it has a huge impact on nesting experience as a whole.
Speaking of that, I will actually jump to Elder and I'll get to see that. So if we...
I'll join you.
Yeah, they are so big.
I make a nest.
Yep.
Selecting dominant after you make the nest doesn't help the nest at all. The nest when it was made. It records whether you had dominant when the nest was made itself, not if you get it after the nest is made.
That is good to know. But now I do have dominant. So for those who haven't done this, if you're maybe new to Day of Dragons or something, it's fairly easy. You first need a male and female of same dragon. You will hold your right mouse button to aim. You'll have the male that starts it off. So you hold the right mouse button over, and as you can see, the male very much showing off his horn. And then press 5, which is your mating call. Whereas the female, it's all about that brood pouch. For those of you wondering, this is the albino skin. I do believe all of the dragons will eventually have an albino skin. Is that correct, yeah?
We don't know for sure. We're going to see how popular it is with the Brood Watcher, and also how popular it is with the Kickstarters, if you know what I mean.
Yes. And to drop a nest down, I will press N. In order to get the eggs laid in there, you will need to hold R, which will get you laying down. You don't want to sleep, you don't want to sit down, you want to lay down.
Now, I didn't select dominant, so you should see a green check mark on me.
Green check mark for mine and a crossed out mark for Super Rhino. We've got the progress to the next egg, and because I've now got dominant, I can now see the recessive genes within our genes. Now, can you just explain about the recessives in case people haven't heard about them before?
Yeah, recessive traits, every nest, you have the father, you have the mother, so they each have a gene pair. They have a dominant and a recessive for everything. Like power, I have a D- and you have a C-. So since you're dominant, there's a better chance that your C- is going to pass to the egg as the dominant gene than my D-. Now, if I was dominant as well, we'd have a 50-50 chance. But since you're dominant and I'm not, there's a 75% chance that the egg will get your best gene and a 25% chance it'll get mine.
And when it comes to the recessives, those can pass on as well, correct?
Yes, but when you're dominant, your best gene passes.
Like in my acid resistance, I've got a C and a C+. So for me, my C+ would be the one that would pass on.
Yes.
And when it comes to bloodline quality, as we can see through the eggs now, these bloodline qualities are D. So the two E's have combined to level up to a D bloodline quality.
Bloodline quality is basically, it takes an average of the two. So if we're both E, we'll get a D. But if I'm an E and you're a bloodline quality, we'll get a C because it takes the average.
Another point to make, because I am now dominant, I can now pick whether I invite someone to the nest to be either male or female. That is a bonus to it.
Yep, and the new nesting panel, it should show like how many eggs you've laid, how many eggs you can lay, like 2 of 2, because the brood only can lay 2 eggs in their nest, and then it'll show you how many eggs have hatched, and then each there's now tabs on the UI.
For those of you who might worry about how do I close the UI, I've noticed a lot of people trying to press escape to close the UI. It's E to interact, and it's also E to close it as well.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to close it. You can press E, or you can just click off in some of the empty space, and it'll close it.
Yeah, there we go. Now, I did see in the live stream you were talking about the nest temperature. I know this isn't in yet.
So there's nest temperature, and you see 3 different eggs. So that those different color eggs, they represent 3 different temperatures. So you have cold, moderate, and hot. You'll notice that the temperature in the middle is really big, the moderate one. So whichever egg is really big in that temperature meter, that shows you what the temperature of the egg currently is. So the egg is currently moderate, and you'll notice that there's like a glow around the egg. The glow represents the ideal temperature for that egg. So what you need it to be so it can incubate. Because we're brood watchers, our eggs like a moderate temperature, not cold, not hot, but just right. If we were flame stalkers, there would be a glow ring around the red egg, but the moderate one would still be big because that's what the temperature of the nest is right now. To properly incubate your eggs, you want the current temperature to match the ideal temperature, which is whichever one has the glow one. So you want the egg that's glowing to be the big egg. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And from what I hear, for each of the dragons that require temperature, it will be a case of using your elemental bile to either reduce or increase the temperature.
Yeah, so the Flamestalkers and Infernos will be able to breathe fire on the nest and make it hot. And if you're in a hot environment like the Dangerous Dunes or the lava lands, that will make it easier to make eggs hot versus being in the winter winds where your egg is probably going to have an ambient temperature of cold and you'd have to have lots of dragons breathing fire on it, try to get it warm enough. It's pretty much not going to be worth trying to incubate eggs in like an extreme environment.
And that's where the Broodwatcher comes in, isn't it?
Yeah, so the Broodwatcher is able to incubate any egg in the game in its neck pouch. And the neck pouch incubation did not make it into update 1.2.0. It's going to be coming into a patch. And a lot of that has to do with we wanted to get this patch out, this update out in Q1. And to finish proper egg incubation, it was going to take us several more weeks. And the the UI and the upstatting for the egg pouch and all of the things that go into that, being able to pick eggs up out of a nest and put them back in a nest, hatching out of the egg pouch and all that stuff. There's a lot there to code and test.
Plus, so many of the new stat system to come through with the breeding, you're going to need people checking that they're enjoying that first, I guess.
Yeah, so we'll be getting all that extra Broodwatcher special stuff with their incubation and upstatting in a patch for 1.2, but it won't be in the initial release on Thursday.
What I love now is the fact we can see the stats of the egg before we invite them, so it's not a case of hatching out a dragon going, this has got bad stats, get rid of it. So there'll be a lot less dead hatchlings around. This egg is actually really good. There are 4 B pluses in this one and an A. There is still some mystery to it because you are not able to see your egg's recessive genes, so there is still a little bit of mystery to it. But
or their skin.
Let's ask Jezebel if they want a male or female. Now, Jer, you have got the melanistic skin, and I've currently got the albino skin. That does mean that the albino is more likely to pass on, and we do have another little albino. So yeah, we've got 1 hatched, 2 laid, 1 hatched. And as you can see in this egg status bar, it is now a hatched egg, and you've got the hatch status. This one is still waiting to go. However, this has got so many minus D's and E's in that. So I think we can get rid of this particular egg. Go to this, destroy nest.
I think this update is going to really help nesters in a lot of ways. Not only are they going to be able to get better stats quicker, but there's going to be a lot less frustration with the guesswork because now the nest shows you exactly what kind of stats are in the egg. So if you don't like the stats, you can just destroy the nest and make a new one. So that's going to save nesters a lot of time.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a really fun change, and I think people are really going to enjoy it. So everybody, leave your comments, say whether you think you're going to enjoy the nesting, say whether you're going to try out nesting now for the first time. I can see this definitely helping people get a foothold into PvP servers if they may want to try that out with a few friends, particularly now that the respawn mechanic is in. And if you do manage to get, say, 1 or 2 generations down and you manage to get some increases in stat, but you then get found out by another clan and maybe wiped out, you are not completely lost. You are able to respawn, and if you're able to keep your dragon, get into juvenile and keep that respawn going, you can find a new location to set up and carry on your breeding line. So hopefully it will provide a much more competitive and just ever-evolving PvP scene rather than it just being the very top clans wiping everybody out.
Yeah, the new nesting system is going to, it's going to really help the PvP servers, the new private servers, the small clans. We've done a lot of TLC on the nesting system. We looked at a lot of player feedback. I believe we found a winner everybody's going to really, really like.
I think so. And the nice thing is, if there is something wrong with it, or if people feel that something needs to be changed, they can just leave some feedback. As you've shown with all of this patch, really, you are able to go over all the feedback, look at how things are playing, and change them if they need changing. That is just the nice thing about a game in early access and playing a game in early access.
So critting is now easier and better than it's ever been. You don't even have to both be elders anymore. You only have to both be dominant. If both parents have the dominant mutation, there's a good chance that their A genes will crit into A plus or A plus plus genes. Now, when an A plus or an A plus plus make a nest, they don't, A pluses and A plus pluses are seen as A's in the nest itself. When the Broodwatcher's new special upstatting ability comes in and patch, which won't be very long, the Broodwatcher will be able to do is they'll be able to take any stat that is at or below the bloodline quality and give it a +2. If the, let's say your bloodline quality is C, the Broodwatcher won't be able to select any of the B or A stats to upstat them, only stats that are C or below. So let's say it then takes a C and it will raise that C to a B minus, guaranteed for the first try. But then you'll be able to try again to upstat the same or a different stat, but each time after the first one you're not guaranteed, and there's also a small chance that it'll be a critical failure, which will downstat. So you're guaranteed the first stat only. Everything else is a gamble. Do you want to try for better stats? You might get them, but you might also get a critical failure.
That will definitely be useful on the dud eggs. Sort of keep rolling them to see if you can manage to get enough stats up on them to make them useful.
Yeah, the more you try, the smaller the chance gets. So for the most part, you know, you're guaranteed the first one. The second one, there's a 50% chance that you might get the second one. And then the third one, or 25% chance. And then the fourth one is like a 12.5% chance. And then a 6 and something percent chance. And so it just continues to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Your chance of critical failure gets higher and higher and higher. For people that like, you know, that slower play style, that defensive play style, Broodwatcher is going to be something that you're going to really enjoy.
And that is another extra thing. Hatchlings now have powered flight, so while they might not be able to get off of the ground by themselves, if there's no cliff, they are now able to boost themselves while they are in the air. So feel free to yeet your kids.
Seeing this bio right here, I just wanted to mention that bios can now nest on the sides of cliffs.
Oh yes. Now here's a question: are they able to nest on the side of a tree?
I don't know. I've actually never tried it.
No, I've only just thought about it now, seeing how straight that tree is. Well, thank you very much, Jeff, for inviting me to this deep dive into nesting, and I hope everybody has learned a lot. I know I have. I'm definitely excited to try it out myself. I've not done much nesting before, and I am looking forward to it now. I will definitely be nesting quite a few people in as Broodwatchers. I will be jumping on multiple different servers. I will probably not have the albino skin. This is a rare skin to get. But yeah, I look forward to seeing everybody posting about their stats, and I'm especially looking forward to seeing people get excited for everything else to come. Thank you very much.
Yep, I'm pretty confident when I say that after people try out the new nesting system, they won't want to go back to 1.1 or even Legacy. They're going to love this new system.
Well, I will see you all there. Bye.
Thank you.